Pro tip, if you're going to shank someone in prison, make sure you have a contingency plan. Or 3. Here are my immediate thoughts on Season 1, Episode 5 of The Penguin. Hey everyone, this is Lenny here. So we're just going to get into episode 5 of season 1 of The Penguin. This episode was titled Homecoming, and this was just another great episode of the show that is just bolstered by great performances and a lot of great scene work. But there are a lot of really cool little things in there in terms of some Easter eggs and just really cool plot elements that are just leading into episode 6. Now, before I get into the episode, just as a reminder, this is a spoiler review. So unless you have already seen episode 5 of The Penguin, I suggest for you to go back, watch the episode, and then come back here because we got a lot of shit to talk about. So the cold open is basically Oz and Vic at Oz's car. It's completely smashed in from Vic running over one of Nadia's henchmen from a couple episodes ago. And Oz essentially sets the car on fire. He tells the story to Vic about Rex Calabresi's, the same story that he told to Alberto, and just talked about how, his car was his chariot and how he was this, super respected person in town when Oz was growing up and looking up to him. The lighting in this scene is so great, and this is the episode that I think best captures Matt Reeves' visual style from the Batman in 2022. A lot of the same color grading, a lot of the same editing techniques, a lot of the same, shadows and shots, a lot of the cinematography, very reminiscent of the Batman 2022. But Oz and Vic are super hyped up over what just transpired. Oz is still making the mistake of underestimating Sofia. He's saying, we're going to be able to take care of her super easy. At the same time, a lot of Oz's own henchmen that he works with shows up at the scene. They're like, oh my God, your car. And Oz is like, don't even worry about that. We got something big planned for you. When I eat, you guys eat, right? And they're like, yeah. And so Oz basically, breaks down the plan of getting Bliss, the mushrooms and everything like that. And we're going to release this drug into the new street. He's firing up the troops. And that's sort of a thematic element that comes into play with this. There's kind of a parallel in terms of how Oz talks to his underlings and how Sofia talks to hers. So Oz implements a plan to get back those mushrooms that have the Bliss drug in it, and he says that the blind spot for the Maronis are their children. Tej Maroney is their son. He's sort of like the Colin Hanks of the family. He gets on TikTok and throws a video on, talks about how he's going to be getting a tattoo done. And that's basically the next scene. He's getting his back tattoo done, but he's wearing noise canceling headphones so he doesn't hear any of the shots firing off when Oz and his crew is basically attacking everyone in the tattoo parlor. They chase him down. Vic chases him down. Vic is in it now. And he chases Tej down and basically pummels him. And Tej is like, you don't know who you're fucking with. You don't know who you're fucking with. And Oz awks him out and we get her open. So Oz has kidnapped Tej and is holding him for ransom. He's at Blackgate where Sal and Nadia are there. And Nadia's like, there's supposed to be a code. Our kids are supposed to be not a part of this. Tej is just a pawn. What are you doing? And Oz is like, hey, I want my shit back. Give me my mushrooms. And Nadia is telling Sal, hey, we can't trust this guy. He's just going to fuck us over again. And Oz is like, look, I don't care what you guys are saying, but, I got your boy. So you guys better make a choice. And Sal's like, are you threatening my family? And Oz is like, he says the funniest thing. He's like, hey, put your dick away. Just remember who I got at home. But it's clear that Oz is leveling up. He's becoming bolder with his moves. He pays off one of the corrections officer to do something that we see a little bit later in the episode. At the same time, Oz finds out through the news that the entire Falcone family is dead with the exception of Sofia and Johnny Vitti. And then that's when we get to the Falcone household. There's just a bunch of body bags all over the Falcone compound. Sofia's cousin's daughter is being sent away to a home for children, so That whole thing looks like it's going to be a tragic end for her. And then we get Chief of Police Bach, played by Con O'Neill, who was in The Batman. And he has the craziest voice. I love his voice. And he's like, yeah, this is super suspicious. All the Falcons are dead? What's up? And Sofia's like, yeah, it's kind of strange that the chief of police is doing house calls. Or are you just here to rub the death of my family in my face? Sofia's playing everything off really nice. She could be suspect number one, but the fact is Johnny Vitti is missing. So he, in fact, looks like the main suspect. That, where is he? But we find out that Johnny Vitti in the next scene is being held captive by Sofia in the family crematorium. And it's cold down there. Vitti is just in his boxers. And Sofia's like, hey, there's a stack of cash that my dad used to have. I know you know where it is. Where is it? And Vita's like, I'm not going to tell you. Just kill me. You're going to do it anyways. And Sofia's like, yeah, I know you're really not that brave. I know you want to live. So tell me where this money is, or, you'll just die down here. And she's like, it's cold in here, and, you'll just die of hypothermia. She splashes a bunch of cold water on him. It's just torture. And once again, I just want to say for the record that Christin Milioti is fucking amazing in this show. Everything she does is just the right choice for her character. The next scene is at Eve's place, and Eve is Oz's prostitute girlfriend. Tej Maroney is over there along with all of Oz's henchmen, Vic, obviously. They're having this argument, and Eve is like, look, I don't want this heat on me. The hangman's coming. She, of course, doesn't know that Sofia really isn't the hangman. That was really Carmine Falcone's MO. But it doesn't seem to matter because, Sofia is coming for them. So Eve is right in her assumption and in her instincts. So Oz, knowing this, tasks Vic with taking care of his mom, making sure that she's safe. And Vic is like, yeah, I'll do what you need me to do. I'll take care of her. Whatever you want, you got it. The one little important piece in that exchange between Oz and Vic is when Oz says she keeps me good. And of course, Oz is not a good person in the first place, but the fact that he believes that makes me really fear for her life. I'm thinking that she's sort of the last bit of humanity that Oz has, and if something happens to her, Oz is just going to lose his shit and just go buck wild. So the next scene is in the crematorium. Johnny Vitti is shivering, he's cold, he's tortured, and he's just like, yeah, okay, fine, I'll give you whatever you want. At the same time, he confesses that, he remembers the night that Sofia's mom was planning on leaving Carmine Falcone, and, he remembers that whole incident with Carmine murdering her. He's like, she tried to leave him once, and Sofia is not having any of this. She's like, you're a fucking desperate liar. And he's like, no, I loved your mother. She was beautiful. I wish she left him. And she came back just because of you fucking kids. So he's like, I just don't have anything left anymore. Obviously, you got me. So you need some respect. That's what you need. You need, a crew. I can get you that respect. Let me help you. So Vic is over at Oz's mom's place, and things are just weird. The TV is playing. What's great, Gloria, that had Gina Rollins in it. It's one of my favorite movies that was playing on the TV, but the stove is on, the fridge is open. It just seems like, obviously her dementia is really starting to catch up with her. Now, when Vic finds Oz's mom in her bedroom, she sort of confuses him with one of Oz's brothers. She has a box of a bunch of playthings. She pulls out a glove, and at first we do think she's talking to Oz and she's having a hallucination or whatnot, and she's thinking that Vic is Oz. But we actually find out later on in the episode when Oz pulls out that same box and pulls out the glove, she's talking about his brothers, and she was mistaking Vic for one of his brothers, and Vic is like, hey, no, it's Vic, I'm one of Oz's, guys. And she just snaps out of it. She's like, yeah, I know who you are. Oz doesn't want to come see me, so he sends his thugs to come see me. At the same time, Vic does his best to make Oz's mom comfortable and feel better. He lies to her, saying that, hey, Oz is the one that took down all the Falcones. They're all dead. And there's a part of me that sort of thinks in a way, Vic really does believe that. I think Oz really has his manipulative hooks in Vic so deep that Vic does sort of believe that even though Sofia is the one that killed everything, that Vic believes, well, it's all part of Oz's glorious plan. So of course, Oz is the one that, made all of this happen. And then the next scene is when we get that correctional officer that Oz paid off shanking Sal Maroney in prison. And I'm just like, oh my God, they're going to kill Clancy Brown in this? This is insane. And then I thought, well, I do remember the first episode of Gen V, so I guess it's not out of the realm of possibility that you would kill Clancy Brown this early in the season. The next immediate scene is the hostage exchange. So Oz and his crew are meeting with Nadia Maroney and her crew, and Oz is like, hey, let me see the mushrooms, and Nadia's like, let me see my son. They bring Tej out, and he is just dripping, soaking wet, and I was watching like, what is going on here? And Oz, convinces Tej to go towards his mom. The whole thing just seems a little weird. And then a shootout ensues. Obviously, it seemed to be an ambush. They were going to try to take Oz and his crew out, but, his crew is able to sort of overpower everything that's going on. At the same time, Tej is, with Nadia. Nadia's like, oh my God, she's hugging him. And then you see Oz pull out the lighter, and you're like, oh no. He drops the lighter. Yes, it's flammable liquid. I want to say, well, if it's gasoline, you would think Nadia would have known and she would have been like backing away. But I mean, one, even if she did realize it was gas, that she had hugged him by the time it was too late, she would have gone up in flames anyways. But two, there are other flammable, liquid substances that don't have that odor to it. So it's very possible that they just dumped him with that solution and it's just like water until it's flammable. And that whole moment was just totally badass and absolutely terrifying at the same time. You see Oz burning this mother and son to death, and he's just staring at them, and all you hear are their blood-curdling screams, and Oz just has this smirk on his face, and you're just like, yeah, this guy is an evil, evil dick. Now at the same time, this fire initiates the extinguishers from the ceilings, and this actually ends up damaging the mushrooms. All of the bliss mushrooms, save for 2 buckets, are completely destroyed. Oz loses his shit, and again, Oz thinks that he put himself on top of the situation, but now he finds himself back at the bottom. At the same time, Oz gets a phone call. He thinks it's Mike, the correctional officer that he paid off to kill Salvatore, but then we find out that, oh no, Mike is dead. Salvatore Maroney killed him, and he also escaped from prison. So Sal is like, you're cooked. And Oz suddenly thinks he's the Joker and decides to drop a joke and is like, oh, Cook, yeah, maybe you should call your wife and see if she answers. So this whole scenario is escalating and escalating and escalating, and Oz knows that his mother is going to be in danger. So he calls Vic up and is like, listen, you guys are not going to be safe. Things are going crazy. Vic is like, what happened? And Oz is like, it doesn't matter. I'm taking care of it, but you need to get my mom out of there. You need to get her out and put her somewhere safe. And Vic is like, well, where is that? And Oz is like, I don't know. You think of it, kid. So the next scene was really interesting. Julian Rush, Sofia's psychiatrist, enters the household, and he basically declares himself as Sofia's ride or die. He's like, I know what you did. I saw it on TV. I know everyone is dead, and I knew immediately that you were the one that did it, but you did it out of necessity because you had to escape this family, and I want to be part of whatever it is that you are trying to accomplish because I can see the change in you. You are a completely different person, and you're free, and I want that same freedom. And he has broken all sorts of HIPAA laws and violations. He should probably get his license revoked, but hey, we got this weird sort of like Joker Harley Quinn thing going, except it's sort of reversed. And then we get sort of this mini montage moment where Sofia reveals herself to all of the henchmen and the remnants of the Falcone family. And she just lays it out. She's like, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Yes, I killed the entire Falcone family. They were fucking with me, so I fucked with them back. And Johnny Viti's just like, what is happening? And Sofia is like, this family, the Falcones, are dead. My father's legacy is no more. We are starting a new family. My mother's name was Gigante, and that is this new family's name moving forward. Again, Johnny Viti is looking at all this and is like, what is this? Sofia's like, we need to end this war with the Maronis. And Johnny Viti's like, no, we have a score to settle. And Sofia's like, fuck that, and shoots Viti in the head. And I'm like, oh, shit! That came out of nowhere. On top of all of this, over Johnny Viti's dead body, Sofia brings out this big bag of cash and is like, this is my dad's cash that he had stashed away. You guys did all of the dirty work. You killed all of these people. You did all the stuff that made my father rich. This new family is not going to undervalue you anymore. She throws all this cash over Johnny Viti's dead body and is like, you are going to be valued. You were never made men, but you are made men with me. So take what you want, join me, and you will make more money than you have ever seen. And this is sort of the parallel. Like I said, in this episode, we see how Sofia rallies her troops. She gets them ready and, gets them all gung-ho and ready for her cause. And then we get Oz's troops and, his underlings and how he's got them all ready to basically be his ride or die. Vic takes Oz's mom to Crown Point, where he is originally from, and Crown Point is like a post-apocalyptic wasteland. What the Riddler did at the end of the Batman just basically destroyed and eviscerated a good chunk of the downtown area of Gotham. It just looks like a war zone. I don't know how anyone is able to survive in this area. Now, when Vic arrives, he sees Squid. Squid is the one kid that his parents originally was like, hey, we don't want you hanging out with. And Squid, he's one of those drug dealers and he sells, he does all the drops, but he's doing he's leading a smash and grab right now, where his crew are just destroying cars, destroying apartments, and just taking whatever is there. Squid also notices that Vic is there and he's taking Oz's mother in, and I'm watching this and I'm like, this is not going to end well in some way, shape, or form. Either Squid is going to get in the way and is going to kill Oz's mom and shit's going to hit the fan, or even Squid does something or crosses the line that Vic maybe is not willing to cross, and that ends up costing Vic his life. And we see with Oz's mom, she's in the apartment at Crown Point. She is not impressed at the same time because she used to live in Crown Point. She's like, this place reminds me of where I used to live and I hate it. And there's a lot of tragedy. When Oz comes back to Crown Point and he's with his mom, he's like, I'm so sorry. I feel like I let you down. She's like, you did. This place reminds me of the worst moments of my life. Why did you bring me here? Are you trying to kill me? Are you trying to remind me of everything that I was trying to get away from the east side of Gotham? What are you doing, Oz? We're seeing all of this stuff being compounded onto Oz. The next scene, he's with Eve. She's like, I don't think I can go with you. And Oz loses his shit. He throws furniture and vases across the room. He's like, I did everything for you. And you can sort of see that, if I was in Eve's situation, I wouldn't go with him. But at the same time, Eve doesn't want to fuck with Oz unless he's really on top of the world. You can see that Eve sort of has her own ways of manipulating Oz herself. The next scene is Sal at his hideout, and you can hear gunshots from outside. It's pretty obvious that Sofia's henchmen are there. And Sofia enters the hideout, and, she wants to call a truce. She tugs at Salvatore's heartstrings. She's like, I know that the family means everything to you. In my family, my dad didn't give a shit about us. What would you have done if someone like Oz did what he did, a driver, talk some shit about your daughter and has her framed? What would you have done? And Sal is like, yeah, I would have, taken that person's tongue out and left him for the vultures. So clearly we're at the point where the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and Sal and Sofia are joining forces. And that is a dangerous, dangerous situation for Oz. Now, while Oz is in Crown Point, he's had that moment with his mom. He's talking to Vic, and Vic is like, what happened to your brothers? And Oz is like, the city took them. I'm sure we're probably going to get a flashback to find out precisely what happened and what that means. But it's clear that Oz has some trepidation when it comes to talking about his past and the past with his brothers and upbringing with his mother. But Oz is going through all of the childhood stuff, that box that his mother had, and there's a jar with a bunch of coins in there, and Oz turns that jar over and pulls out a token for the subway. And it seems like Oz gets a flashbulb moment. The last scene is Oz and Vic in this underground trolley that Gotham used to use, but it's abandoned and condemned basically. And Oz is like, I used to be down here with my brothers, we used to play down here a whole lot, but think about it. And he turns on the generator, some lights start, flickering on, and he's like, think about it. It's cold and damp in here. What do you think works? And Vic figures it out. It's like, yeah, we can grow mushrooms down here. And that's it. This is their base of operations. And the Penguin now has his lair. And that's where we leave off on episode 5. And this was, again, like I said, another great episode. I am wondering now what is next. Obviously, we got this new base of operations for Oz. He's going to be growing the mushrooms, growing bliss. But, there's a whole lot of other things going on with Sal and Sofia joining forces. The Falcone crime family is no more. It's now the Gigante crime family. But they have joined forces with the Maronis. But at the same time, a good chunk of the Maronis are gone. Nadia's dead. Tej Maroney is dead. Sal has, lost a lot of his own henchmen at the same time. So he has actually lost a lot of his power. And so I'm thinking that Sofia is still going to have a lot of leverage when it comes to the two of them. But, them joining forces, as I said, is going to make things very dangerous for Oz. At the same time, with Oz and his mom and Vic being at Crown Point and Squid being there, again, I wonder what's going to happen with that situation. So many things happening. We're way past the halfway point of the season, and now I'm just expecting things to just escalate and speed up, and a lot of dead bodies are just going to start piling up. And obviously this show is called The Penguin. This is leading into Batman 2. I don't know who is long for this world, if Vic is going to die before the season is over, if Oz's mom's going to bite the bullet, if Sal or if Sofia is going to kick the bucket, we don't know. All I know is that Sundays are my most anticipated day of the week, knowing that The Penguin is going to be on HBO Max. This is just my favorite show on TV right now. This is just another blockbuster episode. I love the hell out of this show. Everyone is doing great work. Colin Farrell is doing great work. Christin Milioti is doing great work. All the filmmakers and the writers of this show are just doing some of the best shit of their career, and I'm just all for it. But yeah, those are my thoughts and feelings on episode 5 of season 1 of The Penguin. What did you guys think of the episode? Share your thoughts, leave your comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you can get notifications as well. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care.